Hey guys, how we doing? So we're back on another video from MathWiz. I really liked his thematic breakdown of Sasuke and Kurapika. Because, yeah, I saw similarities there, but I also saw the differences, and it was nice for someone to actually just, like, point it all out and explain it properly. This one, I'm going to be honest, I never really thought of comparing the two until I read the title, and it was just like, oh, yeah, I can see why people would think that these are quite similar. But again, there are differences, and this is going to be a nice little video, hopefully. Well, the last one was good, so I don't see why this one is going to be any same. Gone Freecs versus Son Goku, a thematic breakdown.
Gone Freecs and Son Goku have a lot in common. Like, a lot. Black spiky hair, a simple-minded yet happy-go-lucky attitude, an attack based around rock, paper, scissors, so on and so forth. Much like with Kurapika and Sasuke, however, I feel like their differences are largely understated. The claim that Gon is simply Goku with character development just isn't true. Son Goku was curious, but crude. He had been isolated from the civilized world, so he lacked any understanding of how to act in such an environment. His only known family, his grandfather, died when he was young, so Goku lives autonomously until Bulma finds him at the start of the series. No idea
how the world works.
As such, Goku not only fails to grasp how his world works,
but
he doesn't understand how to act appropriately around other people either. His grandfather had only taught him so much, so while Goku isn't completely inept at working with other people, he's much less composed than Gon. Goku had to provide for himself in the wild, so his natural instincts are much more animalistic. He didn't have access to advanced technology. His only weapon was a glorified stick, so he had to become stronger to hunt for food. This is not the case in Hunter x Hunter. Gon, by contrast, lives on a small island, but he has a family and a community to learn from. While he is unfamiliar with most of the world around him, he at least knows how to conduct himself around other people. He might not know anyone his own age, but he at least has someone to interact with. There are plenty of things that Gon doesn't know, but this helps him look beyond the face value of people, if nothing else. Because he grew up in a more natural setting, Gon also shares some of Goku's animalistic instincts. Those habits are much less prominent, however, because he ultimately has the chance to return to a humanized setting. His behavior is much less comparable to that of an actual animal than to that of a hunter.
That's brilliant.
From a mental standpoint, neither character is very complex. They're simple-minded, so what you see is often what you get with them. What you might not realize is that this aspect is portrayed very differently across each narrative. The biggest difference between Gon and Goku's mentalities is their perspective. In Dragon Ball, Goku has next to no perspective. He acts mostly out of ignorant self-interest, because he views everything at face value. Take his son's fight against Cell, for example. Goku has no doubt in his mind that Gohan can defeat Cell, because he knows that Gohan has the power to do it. When Cell is torturing Gohan, Goku simply watches and waits for Gohan to snap and release the hidden strength that Goku knows he possesses. He doesn't even ask for a sensu bean because he doesn't think that it's necessary. Only after Piccolo explains how afraid Gohan feels does Goku finally wake up. Take his feelings into consideration. He hadn't even considered the possibility that Gohan didn't want to fight. Goku's narrow perspective also plays into his selfishness. He doesn't kill Vegeta so he can fight him again one day. He spares Frieza and nearly gets his friends killed when the tyrant comes to Earth. He toys with Majin Buu and wastes his limited time on Earth. The first is an example of Goku ignoring other perspectives, while the other two are Goku not even considering them. I wouldn't say that Goku isn't self-aware, but he definitely lacks an understanding of those around him. Gon acts just as, if not more selfishly than his counterpart, but he does so with a complete awareness of what that entails. He acknowledges other approaches, but he often outright dismisses them unless someone else stops him from doing so. I can think of no better example of this than the legendary Greed Island dodgeball game. Gon's team develops a smart strategy to win using the mechanics of the game, but Gon rejects it and states that he wants a complete victory. He does this even with the knowledge that his attacks have been destroying Killua's hands. His selfishness pops up again at the climax of the arc, when he goes against the plan that Bisky and Killua had come up with in favor of testing his own powers. Doing that didn't help him defeat Genthru. In fact, he almost ruined his chance to do so. Gon acted solely on his own desires, and he paid the price. As far as their goals are concerned, Goku was violent and possessed a burning ambition to get stronger. At first, Gon's only goal is to find his father. He wants to see the world and form bonds with other people. And only after Hisoka damages his pride does Gon strive to gain power. Gon doesn't want to become the strongest, He merely seeks to attain enough skill to fend off the threats that he faces. It starts with Hisoka, but that eventually transfers to the Phantom Troop, Genthru, the Chimera Ants. Son Goku, by contrast, seeks a challenge even when no threat presents itself. Fighting is a part of Gon's life, whereas fighting simply is Goku's life. The only time that Goku's intellect really shines through is during a battle.
Yeah, when he's fighting, he's like, I've got to plan this, I've got to...
his adversaries. And while Dragon Ball's fights were never as fundamentally intricate as Hunter x Hunter's, tactics are essential to any confrontation, no matter how basic they may be. Goku knows how to maximize his strengths and his opponent's weaknesses, even if his logic in other scenarios is questionable at best. Gon might not be the most tactical character in Hunter x Hunter, but even he understands how to fight smarter instead of harder. Just look at the two variations of the Fist of the Rock, Paper, Scissors technique, for example. Goku's version is nothing more than a gag attack, whereas Gon creates a complete battle strategy out of it.
Like,
Scissor becomes a sword-like beam that cuts, Paper becomes a projectile that he can fire from a distance, and Rock becomes his trump card, a full power punch that destroys just about anything it touches. The Nen system is more detailed than Dragon Ball's Ki as a whole, so it makes sense both in terms of the narrative and the character itself that Gon's childish technique would have more depth to it. After all, Gon may be simple-minded, but he's not an idiot. The relative lack of awareness that the two characters share helps to increase their levels of curiosity as well. Because both characters were cut off from the rest of the world prior to each story, they know very little about how the rest of society operates, beyond basic linguistic and behavioral communication. Gon might understand how to interact with people, but he doesn't understand how normal people interact with various technologies or civic structures. As such, both characters are eager to learn about new things, though the way in which this curiosity is handled varies between each story as well. Gon's curiosity seems to stem from a legitimate interest in the subject, whatever that may be, whereas Goku's curiosity generally leads to comedy, like the scene where he can't find Bulma's balls. From a structural standpoint, both characters often serve as a natural excuse to relay exposition to the audience. If you're going to explain how or why something works, it only makes sense to explain it to someone in the story who doesn't know anything about it. Creating a character like this who is both naive and inquisitive is a brilliant move, though that alone won't always make exposition acceptable or interesting. On a more specific note, I'd like to touch on how each character is affected by death, rage, and vengeance in each story. While Goku's first experience with death comes during the Red Ribbon arc, that moment carries much less personal weight with the character than Krillin's death in the Piccolo arc. I could also take a look at Krillin's death in the Frieza arc and the effects of Goku's Super Saiyan transformation, but that sequence is actually less of a parallel to Gon's journey during the Chimera Ant arc. Gon's transformation is clearly inspired by this moment, but the process of getting there and the fallout from it varies considerably, so I don't think it's worth mentioning beyond that one aspect. Goku spends most of that arc on the sidelines after all, so there isn't much to discuss anyway. As the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai arc came to a close, we were left with this scene of Goku holding Krillin's lifeless body. This development leaves Goku blinded with rage, and for the first time in the series, Goku's moral compass is overshadowed by raw emotion. Without even thinking, he goes after Krillin's assailant despite the fact that he just exhausted himself in a fight with Ten Shinhan. Because of this, Tambourine quickly disposes of him. When the two meet again, Goku quickly kills him before going after the Demon King himself, though that aspect of the story isn't as relevant to the theme of vengeance. Goku has already avenged Krillin by that point, so his main goal beyond that is to just stop King Piccolo from taking over. As for Gon, he, Killua, and Kite travel into the depths of NGL before they face the overwhelming strength of the Chimera Ant Pitou. Kite sacrifices himself so Gon and Killua can escape, but when Kite loses an arm, Gon is overcome by a rage unlike anything he had ever experienced before. Gon had gotten angry before, but never to the same degree as he does here. Unlike Goku, however, Gon doesn't get the chance to act on this emotion. Killua knocks him out before he can get himself killed. This point is crucial to the rest of the arc, as Gon has no way of dispelling those emotions until he eventually gets his hands on Pitou. He thanks Killua for stopping him, but getting knocked unconscious doesn't rid him of his anger. All Gon can do is bottle up his rage. Eventually, the boys and their comrades stage an assault on the Chimera Ant Empire. The opening assault backfires, however, leaving Pitou to fulfill the king's wishes of healing Komugi. Gon had already been bottling up his aggression for ages, so when he finally confronts Pitou in this state, he explodes. He can't understand how or why a cold-blooded killer like Pitou could also show compassion for another being. If Pitou can do that for Komugi, Why did Pitou have to kill Kite? This new development leaves Gon more frustrated than ever.
Oh, God.
But he once again has to wait. He even threatens to kill Komugi if Pitou wastes any time.
Which is like, whoa.
Which shows just how warped Gon has become. This isn't the innocent boy that we met in episode 1. This is a new, unfamiliar monster.
Yeah.
The only thing that kept Gon from slipping away was the notion that Kite was still alive. When Pitou reveals that Kite is in fact dead,
He's been dead the whole time.
Gon snaps. With one kick, Pitou's body is shattered, and in the next punch, the battle is over. Despite that, the massacre continues.
Yeah, he still keeps
Punch
going.
after punch after blood-stained punch. While these two quests share similar story beats, the overall tone differs dramatically. Goku's arc begins with desperation and a blind adherence to emotion, but it ends with a quick, triumphant kill. Gon's arc is the exact opposite. We get a glimpse of what's to come, but that gets shoved into the background for almost 50 episodes. Gon thanking Killua for stopping him almost suggests that Gon has cooled off slightly, but as the arc progresses, we see his dark emotions resurface in an even greater capacity. Even in the manga where Kite had been introduced in Chapter 1, his death doesn't carry the same immediate impact that Krillin's does. This isn't to suggest that Kite is a bad character, but his role in the story hadn't been concretely established yet. Don't get me wrong, I expected Kite to be a major player in the Khmer Ant arc, and I was absolutely floored when Pitou took him out like that.
Yeah.
By Dragon Ball's Piccolo arc, however, we knew that Krillin was a key component in the story. He had just fought Goku in the last arc, for crying out loud. And then bam! With this one panel, out of nowhere, he's dead. That's where I think these two arcs differ. The biggest emotional punch in Goku's arc comes from this panel. Nothing that follows even comes close to it. I don't think that's a bad thing either. We clearly know in this one panel that Krillin is dead, and we are given just enough time to process that before Goku vaporizes Tambourine. He might be dead, but the threat that King Piccolo presents isn't. So we, just like Goku, need to put Krillin behind us to focus on Piccolo's destruction. Only after that can Krillin be brought back to life. In Hunter x Hunter, the biggest emotional punch isn't here, or here, but here. We know that Kite is dead, but Gon doesn't. This dramatic irony continues to build upon itself until Gon finally realizes that Kite truly is dead. Just like with Goku, we spend most of Gon's arc waiting for the moment when he would avenge Kite, waiting for that same triumphant pose after he had killed Pitou. As the arc nears climax, however, that heroic atmosphere disappears. Gon's emotions are pushed far beyond anything that Goku had experienced. And a key contributor to this is the fact that Gon never had the chance to blow off steam. Goku immediately gets a crack at Tambourine and fails. This gives him a chance to cool off before taking him on again.
Yeah.
But even then, Goku didn't have to find Tambourine. Tambourine came to him. Not only are those opportunities absent for Gon, but he has to pursue Pitou on top of that. Gon has to wait and wait and wait before he can finally fight Pitou. And we're right there with him. We experience the same wait, the same drama, the same moral ambiguity that Gon faces. So we can both empathize with and feel betrayed by Gon's final act in the arc. The Piccolo saga begins with Krillin's death and ends with his revival. Likewise, Gon's character arc begins when Kite loses his arm and ends after he loses his own.
Yeah.
One happy ending and one tragedy. A very special thanks goes out to King Kevin 30, Stone Cold 0007, India Charvino,
I like the ending
Double
there, man. That was really
and
good.
everyone else who supports my work on Patreon. I've enjoyed making these character comparisons so far,
They're cool.
and I'm hoping to make some more in the near future. If this video interested you in any way, I highly recommend my last one where I compared Kurapika and Sasuke
It was good.
Uchiha.
If you watch that together, guys, if you've not seen my reaction to it,
share
then
it around.
check it out, or just check out the original
If you have any suggestions for future breakdowns, let me know in the comments or over on Twitter at MathWiz97X. Until next time, keep on YouTubing.
Cool. That was cool. That was a really cool comparison of the two. God. And Gon just annihilates Pitou is just so hard to watch because you're like, oh, he's completely lost it. But yeah, that was good. I like these discussion videos. Takes a break away from laughing all the time. I think the next one's everything wrong with Hunter x Hunter, so that's going to be good. Woo! So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. What did you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below, let me know what to watch and discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys. It's all you guys. Face down.